Football fans, Gooners, welcome to another edition of the Positively Uncensored Arsenal podcast. This is our Manchester United Arsenal review. And as always, I have virtually next door my friend, my expert, Blackburn George from the Positively Arsenal blog. George, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm fine.
You are fine.
Just about recovered from watching that drab game of football yesterday that I was all excited to watch, and it was ultimately a bit drab. But 3 points, I suppose, at this stage of the season, that's what was necessary and that's what we got. So I thought it was a poor performance, but fortunately, United are absolutely shite.
Yes, George. Well, the stats bear out an observation I made during the game, and anybody who's fair-minded made that point during the game. Even the most pro-Arteta fans. It was an ugly win. United had more possession than us, more touches, more shots, George. But as you said, they were horrible in their shooting. They had only 2 shots on target, and I can barely remember one that is Garnacho going to the byline, and I don't know if it was a shot or a cross, but Raya clawed it out. That's the only one I can remember, really. It was not pretty to watch if you were neutral.
The other one was Casemiro from outside the box,
yes.
which was basically just a back pass to Raya.
Yeah, so sketching practice.
Yeah, they produced nothing, and perhaps we could have played better if let's look at the positive side. Perhaps we could have played better if we'd had to, but
Yes.
It was a very conservative approach from us. And I think I said last week, that would probably be what we did. More defensive, 2 defensive midfields. Partey had dropped back and Declan Rice had dropped back. And basically, I think that's what happened. Partey, as you just said, dropped back almost to play as a centre-half, and Declan Rice fell into his defensive midfield role, which left us with not a lot going forward and not a lot of creativity. So I thought Saka had a poor game. I've just looked on the sofa scored things that you've sent us. Apparently, he was our best attacking player, which
yes.
I don't know where they've come up with that from. Nobody was particularly good. Partey, I thought he gave the ball away cheaply in dangerous areas a few times, got caught on the ball. But having said that, he was the one player that seemed prepared to take a risk and play the ball quickly. There were too many touches, too conservative. But at the end of the day, we won and we got the 3 points. So it's hard to be overly critical when at this stage you just want 3 points. So once we scored the goal, I thought we got even more timid and conservative. Because United were fucking awful. And we could have blown them away, I feel, if we'd have gone for it. But we didn't. And it does seem a bit curlish to be complaining that we've gone to Manchester United and beaten them and we're having a bit of a moan up. So we won.
Yes, I was I preface my post-match comments on Twitter by saying I'm not gonna argue with that. They scored was a mighty cock-up by Arsenal, by Manchester United. In fact, when the ball went out to Havertz, I thought he was offside, and then from my coach, I instinctively said offside. But then the play kept going on. I'm saying the assistant referee is going to let the game go on as they now do. But the flag never came up. Havertz crossed, and Trossard drove it in. On the replay, we all now see Casemiro strolling from his defensive position. Kept him on side. In fact, George, such a great player, but his legs are gone. What are your, in other words, it was not a goal that we can be very proud of. Well, it's a goal, but it's not a goal. It's not a goal that United can.
Actually, I take the opposite view. I think it's a goal we can be very proud of. Yes. Because Casemiro made a mistake. He dawdled coming out. Havertz realised he was in space, and he called for the ball.
Yes.
And I think it was Ben White lofted the ball to him after he called for it. Mm-hmm. And from there, he took on a couple of players, waited for Trossard to come in, made a good cross. Trossard got behind Wan-Bissaka and chipped it in. And rather than thinking it was a poor goal, I'm the opposite. I think it was a great goal because we saw a weakness in the moment, and Kai Havertz was smart enough to take advantage of it. And Ben White was smart enough to pass him the ball when he called for it, which appeared to us that he was offside, but he was clearly well onside. He was about 10 yards onside, actually. I'm of the opinion that was a good goal, a well-worked goal, and we took advantage of a mistake that Casemiro made, and that's football. You have to cash in when your opponent makes mistakes, and that's what good teams do. They cash in.
Now, I'm on the other side of the tree, as they say. I thought Casemiro. Well, my instinct, and I'm not just going with the commentators because they're all piling on Casemiro in the break and afterwards. But at least you have a different perspective, and you're the first person, actually, George, who says that it was smart play by us. I haven't heard a word from any of these so-called experts, but I'm just talking from my instinct from the coach was why was Havertz so onside and miles of green grass between him and the halfway line, if you know what I mean. But yeah, if what you say is, you have a point. Havertz has been a very smart player. I'm saying has been, but he's very smart in his reading of the game.
Yeah, and like I say, he called for the ball. It wasn't that Ben White just lofted it forward aimlessly. Havertz called for it. He held his hand up. He waved at White. White saw him, and it wasn't a pass along the ground. He chipped it over to him. It was a good goal for me. It was a good goal.
It is a goal.
Of course, it doesn't happen if Casemiro doesn't make the mistake.
Yes.
But having made the mistake, he got punished. And he got punished because of our good play.
I guess the point that some of us raise is why we just retreated in our shell and
that's a different argument, and I agree. I think we should have pushed on at that point. But I suppose when you get your nose in front at Old Trafford, it is still Old Trafford, and they still are Manchester United, and we still do struggle to get results there. And maybe it was just human nature to hold on to what you have. Having successfully held Manchester City out, I think they have a mindset now that they're able to play negatively and still get a result. Whereas in the past, probably one goal wouldn't have been enough.
Yeah.
But now, one goal is more than enough sometimes for this team. How many clean sheets is that now?
21 or 22.
It's not by accident, is it?
No, and I mean, I recall a podcast we did when I said, defending is gonna win us the title. So I mean, I'm taking away from my own formulation, but we are very good defensively. And Saliba, I excelled yesterday. In fact, we'll come to this, but who scored gave him the man of the match, which is for a defender is unbelievable.
You see, this is something else that I know. I am critical of some of the stuff Arteta's done, but for years and years I've said you can't have a defensive setup that keeps out the goals and play attacking football and score lots of goals. Well, Mikel Arteta has debunked that theory. We're doing both. We're absolutely rock solid in defence and we're scoring lots of goals. Now, I would have said previously that was impossible. You look at the sides like Liverpool and Manchester City over the last 10 years, and people have always said, oh, yeah, they're great going forward, score lots of goals, but they have a weakness at the back.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody said it about Manchester City. Everybody said it about Liverpool. Everybody said it about Arsene Wenger's Arsenal. It was the same meme we heard all the time. Oh, they're good going forward, but they have weaknesses at the back. This team does not have weaknesses at the back, and it's good going forward. That's a rarity in football. It really is.
And I think you're emphasizing the positives, and although you couldn't say the same thing about City this year, I think they are very solid at the back, especially since the second half.
Yes, of course they are. I'm not sure they are solid. I'm not sure they are solid at the back. It's just that they've got the ball that fucking much that they don't get many shots on goal against them. It's not that they're great defending and look solid. I mean, you never see them sitting back soaking up pressure ever.
Yeah, no,
that's the difference. I don't think they could do it. I don't think they could set up not to concede. That's not the way they play. But we can do both. We can set up not concede, and we can set up to attack. And we can also play with the balance of both. I think it's a really good team, And we're one or two players short of it being an outstanding team.
Do you think this is enough? We can't say the fat lady has sing, but City yesterday against Fulham, day before, spanked them 4-0. They're gonna have Tottenham on Tuesday, and then Saturday is the ultimate day. But they're playing their game. We are determined to win ours. How is it looking?
Wait, it's looking less and less likely that we're going to win it, but we still have a chance. Stranger things have happened in football. That Manchester City will drop points either away at Spurs or even at home against West Ham. I mean, it's unlikely. West Ham look like real whipping boys.
Yes.
And Tottenham look like Tottenham. So
Spursy.
But that shouldn't detract from the fact how well we've done this season. It really shouldn't. If City win the league, that'll be 4 on the bounce. That'll make them the most dominant team in the history of the Premier League. And if you're finishing within one result of them, you're a fucking good team. Now, I think there's been mistakes made. I think we made some terrible mistakes at the beginning of the season, playing Kai Havertz in midfield, playing Thomas Partey at right back. Not good. But we haven't done that since Christmas. And I do think there should be some criticism for some of the earlier team selections.
Starting the season without Gabriel. I don't know what was the reason. They said he was up for sale, and that caused us to stumble a bit.
Because it was because the Saudi Arabians were making overtures towards him, and apparently his mindset wasn't right. But despite that, and the fact that probably the best thing to happen to us all season was Gabriel Jesus getting injured.
Yeah, I'm smiling, but because he was supposed to be the savior. Go ahead.
It was. I think you can't dispute the fact of how well we've been playing since Christmas, and it is Manchester City we're competing against. We'd be winning the league if it wasn't for them being outrageously good and efficient and effective. So I tweeted something this morning about the first 7 years of Arsene Wenger's reign. He finished first 3 times and second 4 times.
Yes.
But he was a genius manager. The 4 seasons, he finished second. He didn't just become good the years he won it. He was good every year. And I think just because you come second to an outstanding team that has outspent everybody legally and illegally over the last 15 years, because you've come second to them, doesn't mean you've failed. It's an incredible achievement to come from where we were, albeit the fact that Arteta took us there 3-4 years ago, to where we are now. I think we've got to appreciate the fact that, we are a very good team. And if we get, let's say, a replacement for Thomas Partey and a top-class centre-forward, I think we have a chance next season of taking that next step forward, which is winning some competitions. It might not be the league, but maybe we can get back to winning some cups and go even further in Europe.
Talking about that, George, talking about players, we got a question from a very close fan of this podcast asking, what of the choice of Partey over Jorginho? Your thoughts on that? Because you're saying that if we have somebody superior to Partey, but obviously Mikel Arteta has faith in Partey. He's played in the last 2 critical games.
He's played in the last 5 games, I think.
But started in the last 2 or 3 games, if my memory serves me right.
For me, Jorginho is a better player and always has been. But I'm not picking the teams, and Mikel Arteta's seen them train. He knows what he wants. He knows the balance it wants in midfield. So I would start Jorginho, but I'm not going to criticise Mikel Arteta for starting Partey, because Partey's done all right, and he does bring some stuff. He does bring more physicality and more risk-taking to that position than Jorginho does. Jorginho's tidier on the ball, and he probably sees the killer pass better, but he doesn't move the ball as quickly, and he's more risk-adverse, and he's physically not as intimidating as Partey. So, like I say, Mikel makes a choice, all fine and well. But me personally, I would pick Jorginho just because I like that type of play.
Yeah. Talking about taking us to the next level, George, there is a rumor, not confirmed by the club. I don't know if it's official. You can confirm if for us that we have put several of our younger players up for sale, That includes Nketiah, Reese Nelson, and ESR. What are your thoughts on that? Because I tweeted that, well, it seems that the homegrown core, that's history. We are spending, and we've gone 700 million pounds in the last 4 years or so. When you tot it up, I don't know if it's net, but 700 million pounds on the Arteta's watch. What are your thoughts on the deciding that those players are not part of our future? Your head is down. You're down and out, George.
Well,
Stop you.
I'm a bit sad that Emil Smith Rowe should be up for sale because I think he's done really well when he's had the opportunity to play, but injuries have probably prevented him playing as much as he would have, and the fact that we keep winning, difficult for him to come in and find a spot for him because you would be bringing him in to replace Declan Rice or Martin Odegaard, and you're not going to do that. Mm-hmm. As for Eddie and Reece Nelson, I think the amount of game time they get, it's clear that they're not part of the future. They're not going to all of a sudden become regulars. So if you can get decent money for them, I think they should. But I would also throw into that mix Gabriel Jesus.
Yes. Nobody wants to talk about that. And we know why. I mean, he was supposed to be the great savior. I said that before. And even his cameo yesterday.
Well, actually, I thought he did all right, apart from occasionally trying to be too tricky on the ball and losing it in midfield when he should have been moving it on. I thought he did all right, but I only thought he did all right because he replaced Saka, who I thought was doing very poorly.
And then who got hurt when he slid into the boards, and he was he was really limping after that. Well, let's come to our usual feature, and that is the player ratings. Because from whoscore.com, and let me try to blow it up for the audience. We can talk or not. So George, I hope people can see this. But they gave Saliba the man of the match 7.8 rating. In fact, they gave virtually everybody not everybody, but the midfielders got just under 7. The back line got 7s. The front line got 7s. But you have no doubt that Saliba was a man of the match, but you think that Saka doesn't deserve a 7.7, and I'm there with you. I'm not sure what he did to merit that. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be critical of Saka. He's been brilliant, and I'm not saying he was bad, but it wasn't good. I mean, at one point he intercepted a ball in midfield in acres of space, and he just ran in field a bit and passed it back to Manchester United.
Yeah,
it's shocking.
I remember that.
But, you know, I don't know what to say, but if he'd have done that for Manchester City, he'd have been substituted within 30 seconds. He didn't have a good game. Like I say, it wasn't really poor. It wasn't like stinking the place out, but I expected better from him, and I didn't see it yesterday. But I didn't see it from a lot of them. I thought Odegaard had one of his lesser games. Declan Rice was, but I think that's more the mindset than the ability on the ball. It was a very negative mindset, I think. And once in sport, when you get into a negative mindset, it's very difficult to get out of it.
Yeah. Your boy our boy Jesus got a 6.1. Now, I mean, he got only about 15 minutes or so on the field. Uh, and you say he did so, or he did better than one would have expected. He
No,
scored.
I think it was so. But like I say, I wasn't disappointed because it wasn't worse than Saka. You know, it wasn't a downgrade on what Saka had been doing.
Yeah.
And it does at least it brings an injection of energy towards the end of the game. But we didn't buy him to do that, did we?
Nope. And I think he probably on the market, isn't he? They'll be quiet about it. Or
I would think so. And maybe Zinchenko as well.
yeah,
You know, he can't get in the team over Kyo or Tomasaka.
yeah.
And we've got Justin Timber to come. So that's three of them going to be in front of him.
Yeah.
So he might be surplus to requirements as well. But who knows? Who bloody knows? I don't know.
Right. Yeah,
We'll just have to wait and see. I'm certainly not going to worry about it. You know, I'm going to be playing fantasy football, telling Mikel Arteta who he should sell and who he should buy without knowing whether players are available to be sold or available to be bought. It's a fruitless exercise. I mean, for me, I would solve it easily. I'd just say, oh, let's go to Newcastle and buy Isaac. How easy is it for me to sit here and say that? First of all, we don't know whether Mikel Arteta wants him, whether he would fit his plan, and we don't know whether Newcastle would sell him. It's very unlikely, but the solution is easy when you just sit here on your sofa telling the manager who he should buy and who he should sell.
And we should always remember that we are on the sofa with giving our views and
with no idea of the reality. No idea of the reality of how difficult it is to both buy and sell players, especially if they're under long-term contracts. Like Manchester United, they say, oh, get rid of Casemiro. How are you going to get rid of him? He's got 2 years on his deal on £400,000 a week. He ain't going anywhere. But to the fans, it's simple. Get him out.
Yes. Yes, and the pundits, George, and the pundits who raging about the new management. I mean, they spent the commentators were saying they spent how they said it's the most expensively assembled team in the Premier League. And look at how shocking they had to resort to kids who are promising but are far from the real thing. I mean,
Go.
Yes, I know that. But George, I don't want to say much about that. But this is the fallacy of relying on spending big, spending on players like Casemiro, who at the time he left Madrid, you could say that he was not he had peaked. Let's just say that, and he's not the same player. But you're trapped, as you say, with 400K a week or 300, whatever it is, 300K a week. He's not going to give that up. Why should he?
Why would he?
Yeah. On a final note, George, it's tightening up. I did not say that before, but what, we are 86 points. City is 85 points. But what is tightening up is the goal difference. It's only 3 goals difference between the two of us. If City goes and slap up Tottenham, it could be something like equivalent.
It won't matter if City slap Tottenham. That's it, because they are not losing at home to West Ham.
Good point. So we all have to watch Tuesday, then, George. We all have a stake in Tuesday's game.
It's an outside forlorn hope, but it's our only hope, in my opinion. I just can't, under any circumstance, imagine how Manchester City don't beat West Ham at the Etihad on the last day of the season. That team's finished. That team, David Moyes has left. They're on the beach. There's nothing to play for, and they're playing shit.
Yeah.
There's
I saw
no,
clips.
it's just not happening. It's just not happening. So I hope that we see super revival of Tottenham Hotspur, like the way they set off the season right at the beginning, playing absolute extreme Ange ball, attacking right, left, and centre from every position on the field. And I hope that the goals go in instead of going wide or being stopped by the keeper, because that's their only chance. Don't want to see them trying to play for a draw, because City will just steamroller over them if they sit back. Be true to your principles, Big Ange, and fucking go for it. Throw caution to the wind.
If they go for it, George, they'll rip them to bits as well, because they'll find.
Well, yeah, they probably will rip them to bits, but it's it's a better chance than sitting back, because that team is not designed to defend.
Yeah. Well, it's the hope that kills you, George, but let's have fingers and toes crossed on Tuesday. On that note, George, let's wrap this up. Any final words from you?
No, everybody comment in the comment section. That's it.
Yeah.
Like
well,
and subscribe.
Right. All right, George, our audio is deteriorating at the end, but that's probably just as well. Thank you very much, my friend. We will meet again after the final day. Bye.